Yo, hello my people. Once again, it's Barista Kevin Stroke Roster here at Jack's Barista Institute. So, today I've just brought for you someone very big in coffee. So, he's just going to introduce himself to the audience before we go further to details.
It's an awesome time to meet you and the audience, ladies and gentlemen. This is Evans Melan, well known as a specialty barista. And tonight I'm really excited to have been hosted by my fellow friends. So I hope this interruption we are going to discuss a lot, and yeah, I hope you gain something in this talk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, my brother. Thank you for saying hi to the audience. So, my first question is to a barista who is going interviews, what should you prepare ahead of you?
Oh, thank you very much for this question. Actually, this is an amazing question, and everyone, not only in the field of being a barista, but to everyone who is seeking for a job, ask himself or herself such a question. But then, first of all, as to my understanding, I'll tell you that the first preparation is you mentally, first of all, knowing your role, the role you're going for, like your role as a barista, know the interview you're going for. So if it's, for instance, if it's a barista interview, you need to prepare yourself. First of all, the dressing code, your mindset, your appearance to people, the format you're using, and another thing is that how you know about coffee. There are several questions that will be asked by interviewers, but what you have to know is that there are those questions, there are those fundamental questions that I always ask, and that's what we are going to put on the emphasis. Questions like, what is a barista? What are you going to do? And things to do with how do we prepare coffees on a daily basis, and most especially not leaving customer services. Yeah.
Okay, my first question is to a person who is watching outside there, right now at the point, people are brewing their own coffee at home. But what can you tell people who are brewing their own coffee at home how to make a perfect V60, and a person who has just joined a barista industry how to prepare a perfect cup of V60?
Thank you very much for this question once more again. To a person who is locally brewing his coffee, or a coffee farmer back then in the villages, I would encourage them to do some research, because a long time ago, as we grew up, we knew coffee as a cash crop. We knew that coffee is just exported to countries like the British countries, and we didn't know the value of coffee. But right now, this generation, we are discovering a lot that coffee is not just a cash crop, but you can use it as a commercial, or you can use it to the finest, I mean your homes. So first of all, research should be done by farmers and by consumers. And secondly, we should learn how to play around with coffee, because there are variety of coffee making. So it depends on how you want it to be done. Of course, we know that by the help of our phones like YouTube, Google, friends, and most especially looking for a specialty barista to come and encourage you, to come and give you ideas on how to do it. Because when it comes to these filtered manual brew coffees, it will take you to pick up tools, to have tools to make them. So like V60, you have to have a portafilter, you have to have a pot maker, you have to have like your coffee grinded, which grind size. So all that will take you into knowing details. That is how you come up with a better result for your filtered coffee.
Okay, so my bro, I have a simple question. Would you mind of explaining more about to the ratios and the yield you should get and the grams you are using to make your perfect V60?
Thank you of course, for this question. Once more, I'll encourage people. For me, I always say, it is not always crumb work when it comes to specialty. So, like ratio wise, depends on you yourself or a company coming up with a certain formality of their ratio, depending on their standards. So I may tell you my ratio right now, yet it's not what you're using. So don't take it as it's a false information, but better do research on it. So at times people say it is a 1 to 18. At times people say it is 1 to 15, depending on which kind of coffee beans, roastery levels, grind sizes, and company or personal standards. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So my other question is, how do you deal with older beans and new beans? How do you deal with them in terms of temperature and grinding size?
Of course, how do I deal with beans, guys? We should know that beans expire. So this will take us into details, knowing how to know the life scale of these beans. First of all, you should inquire from your roastery, or if not, the packages that those expire dates on the coffees. So how do we do? We have these two beans that are to end and those that are in the new stock. Of course, we should use those that are to expire very soon. So beans that are to expire soon have a shorter life. So that means when we are using them, it takes much more of, let's say, yield. What do I mean by this? Like when it comes to grind sizes, these beans, because they've lost their flavors, it will take you to add much more of water if you're um, calculating the yield part, or and then for the burning part, you shouldn't burn it. I mean heating. You shouldn't heat it to the maximum level. Okay. So whenever you're heating those, or let's say the water you're using, let's say you're using V60, at least a temperature, let it not be to a maximum of 90 degrees, at least below 90, but not 90 plus, because that coffee lost its not all flavors, but its shelf life is about to die. So it depends on how you're dealing with it. Yeah, but don't overheat the water. Yeah.
Nice. So another question is, okay, would you mind of telling us more about espresso shot? Because to my side, I prefer taking espresso as my best drink. So would you mind of explaining more about what is espresso and how can you brew a perfect cup? I mean, how can you make a perfect cup of espresso if you are owning a coffee shop, if you are working in the coffee shop, or if you are making your own shot at home?
Wow, it's a wonderful question. Of course, right now in these seasons, like this generation, we are into like what should I say, digital wise. So whatever we talk about coffee, it's all about espresso. Everything is running about espresso machines. So what is espresso? Espresso, it depends. Of course, we have multiple. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to specialty or knowing coffee, everyone has got his own idea, and we always say you're right in your own way. But then there are those keywords, just as we